Hey Duke basketball fans, I'm Pete Winkler, Duke basketball superfan and self-proclaimed professor of Duke basketball. Welcome to episode 5 of the Duke basketball PhD course. In today's episode, we're going to focus on Duke's past history of four-year stars versus the current era of the one-and-done Duke basketball star. But first, a brief update on this season's Duke men's basketball team. Last Thursday, Duke lost in the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament to North Carolina State 74-69. It was a disappointing loss. However, North Carolina State played incredible basketball, winning 5 games in 5 days to take the entire ACC tournament, beating North Carolina in the finals. Last Sunday, Duke received a number 4 seed in the South region of the NCAA basketball tournament. They'll open play with a round of 64 game against number 13 seed Vermont at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Go Duke! Just a reminder, this course covers Duke basketball's history, its great teams and players over the last 50 years, beginning in 1974 all the way to today in 2024. Previous to 1999, about halfway through the period covered in this course, Duke basketball stars had all stayed a full 4 years to go to school and play at Duke. This was the case of Duke greats from the 70s like Jim Spanarkel, Mike Jaminski, and Gene Banks. The 80s like Johnny Dawkins, Danny Ferry, and Mark Allery. And the 90s like Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, and Trajan Langdon. Duke was significantly impacted for the first time by players leaving early for the NBA draft following the 1998-99 season. After the top-ranked Duke Blue Devils were defeated by UConn in the finals of the NCAA basketball tournament, star Blue Devils center Elton Brand left Duke early after his sophomore year and declared for the NBA draft. Brand was drafted number 1 by the Chicago Bulls. Brand was joined in leaving early by star point guard William Avery, who left after his sophomore season and was drafted number 14, as well as freshman small forward Corey Maggette, who left after his freshman season, a one-and-done, and was drafted number 13 in the first round of the NBA draft. Next, it was stars Jay Williams, Mike Dunleavy Jr., and Carlos Boozer, who all left after their junior seasons following the 2001-2002 season. The blow of their departures was mitigated somewhat by the fact that they had led Duke to the national championship in their sophomore season. Star small forward Luol Deng left after his freshman season following Duke's loss in the national semifinals again to UConn in the 2004 NCAA tournament. This was a game that Duke had led by 8 points with less than 3 minutes left to go, but had squandered that lead and lost a heartbreaking game to UConn. Duke's next one-and-done wasn't until after the 2010 and 11 season, when freshman Kyrie Irving declared for the NBA draft and was also selected number 1 overall in the draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers. That 2010 and 11 season was a tipping point in Duke's evolution as a program, going from a reliance on 4-year players to lead the team to a strong reliance on one-and-done players in the following years up until today. While the era of the one-and-dones technically began with Corey Maggette in 1999, it became predominant with Kyrie Irving and thereafter following 2011. During the 2009 and 10 season, Duke had been led by 4-year players John Shire, a senior that year, Kyle Singler and Nolan Smith, who were juniors that year, to the national championship. Singler and Smith returned for the 2010 and 11 season, and they were joined by the star recruit Irving. Expectations were very high, and at the beginning of the season, Duke met those expectations and perhaps even exceeded them, with Irving starring and the team running out to a 9-0 record and a number 1 ranking. However, Irving suffered a foot injury and missed the next 25 games, not returning to Duke's lineup until the NCAA tournament. Even though the talent was great in 2010 and 11, the tenor of that club changed when joined by Irving, a ball-dominant, score-first point guard who had no intention of staying at Duke after his freshman year. Without Irving, prior to the NCAA tournament, Duke played great basketball and went into the tournament with a 30-4 record following an ACC tournament victory by 17 points over hated rival North Carolina. However, after winning 2 games in the NCAA tournament, Duke fell flat in their Sweet 16 game against Arizona, losing by 93-77 after getting outscored 55-33 in a second-half barrage by the Arizona Wildcats. Since that 2011 season and through the following 13 years, Duke has been dominated by star freshmen, 5-star recruits who've been one and done at Duke and then on to the NBA draft. Let's look at Duke's results on the court during that one and done era in comparison to their results over the years just prior to the one and done era beginning. I went back and tracked Duke's record of success in terms of win-loss record overall and postseason results from 1998 through 2010, and then again from 2011 to 2023. In the latter period, withdrawing Duke's 2020 season where there was no NCAA tournament held and the COVID-shortened 2021 regular season. Duke's overall record for that 12-year period between 1998 and 2010 was 363 wins and 67 losses at stellar .844 winning percentage. During that period, Duke won 2 NCAA tournament titles, appeared in 4 Final Fours, and also in 4 Elite Eights. Duke's overall win-loss record for the one-and-done era beginning in 2011 through 2023 was 348 wins and 87 losses, a less great but still outstanding .800 winning percentage. During this more recent period of one and dones, Duke has won 1 NCAA title, been to 2 Final Fours, and 5 Elite Eights. Overall, the earlier period was more successful for Duke, as they had a better overall winning percentage, 1 more national title, and 2 more Final Four appearances. Although they had 1 more Elite Eight appearance in the more recent one-and-done period. And as you may recall, Duke was just a whisker away from getting to the Final Four in both 2018, where they lost to Kansas in overtime after a Grayson Allen shot at the end of the regulation rimmed out, and 2019, where they lost by 1 point to Michigan State after an R.J. Barrett missed free throw. I would argue that if both of those games had gone Duke's way, we'd be looking at the results of the one-and-done era so far in a significantly different way than we are today. 2015 has been Duke's only national championship team during the one-and-done era, where Jahlil Okafor, Justice Winslow, and Tyus Jones were key players in Duke's run to the national title. Of course, that team was led by guard Quinn Cook, whose senior leadership was key to the team achieving the national title. Duke has gone to 1 more Final Four during the one-and-done era in 2022, where freshmen Paulo Banchero, AJ Griffin, and Trevor Keels were all one-and-done players. Duke has had some incredible talent in the one-and-done era. However, Coach K and now Coach Shire have found it difficult to take and mold that stellar talent into a championship caliber team in just 1 season. It's been very tough to get everyone used to communicating on the court in a way that would lead to optimal offensive efficiency and great team defense, as the Duke teams where 4-year stars proliferated were able to do. And those limitations have been exacerbated by the rise of the immediate transfer portal, which has enabled other schools to recruit somewhat less talented but much older and more experienced players into their programs. Duke has met with spotty success in the transfer portal and has continued to be dominated by one-and-done cycles. We've seen that play out repeatedly on the court. Take, for example, Duke's 2 games against North Carolina this season. The North Carolina starting lineup's average age is 22 years old, and their average experience level is 4.5 seasons. Duke, on the other hand, has an average starting lineup age of 20 and just over 2 seasons of experience on average. The difference is significant, and it showed up in Duke's 2 losses to North Carolina. It also has a significant impact on Duke fans' enthusiasm for and connections with the players on Duke's team. Like most Duke fans, I'm extremely excited to watch a new crop of 5-star recruits begin their careers at Duke before every season. However, watching even transcendent talents like Zion Williamson and Jason Tatum for one season is somewhat less engaging than watching great stars like Grant Hill or Christian Laettner develop over 4 years at Duke. It's fundamentally more difficult to establish and maintain that strong connection as a fan with today's Duke team and players. It can be quite frustrating for Duke fans, especially when the Duke team has stumbles and lapses during the season that you know wouldn't have been the case with more experienced teams dominated by four-year players. But we are where we are in college basketball. The game has fundamentally changed. We'll never be going back to the days when Duke's most talented players came and went to school and played at Duke for 4 full years. So given all of that, what's the best recipe and prescription for Duke to thrive in this new one-and-done era? In my view, here are 3 keys for Coach Scheyer and Duke's program to thrive from a roster building and program improvement standpoint. Number 1, keep up the great recruitment of 5 stars, but try and limit the 5-star recruitment to no more than 3 players in any given offseason. Any further recruitment beyond that should be of 3- and 4-star players who are much more likely to stay a full 4 years at Duke and become the glue of the program moving forward. Number 2, supplement the roster with more aggressive and better use of the transfer portal. Each offseason, Duke should be looking to bring in at least 2 or 3 highly ranked transfers from the portal to fill the gaps and add high-quality, experienced talent to the roster. I'm sure that the Duke admissions office can also get with that program. Number 3, extend the bench to 9 or 10 players and make a consistent, concerted effort to keep the bench extended. This will enhance the Duke team's sustainability and energy, particularly at the end of close games and toward the end of the season. It will also give more minutes to key Duke bench players who won't leave after the end of the season and will become the 4-year stayers and the glue of the program moving forward. From this year's roster, think Sean Stewart, Caleb Foster, Jalen Blakes, and TJ Power. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for watching. Could I please ask you to press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment so I know what you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Thanks a lot, and go Duke!